changes.
Hey guys, what's up? It's Amanda. Welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be a little update on orientation as a new nurse and all of that fun stuff. So first, I just want to say that holy crap, I can't believe that I'm almost done with orientation. When this video goes up, I think I'll have like a month left maybe. I'm scheduled for my first shifts already, and those are October 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. So that's kind of crazy and intense. Yeah, so I am a new nurse, new grad, new everything, and I'm working on a postpartum unit. I also occasionally float down to an antepartum unit, but I have not been trained on that unit yet. So I started my orientation July 8th. I had like 2 weeks of like hospital-wide orientation. That was like, there was like a bunch of nurses there doing stuff together, and then since that ended, I have been just on the unit, and then I've had some classes as well, but those have just been with other postpartum and labor and delivery nurses. So yeah, it's been a wild ride so far. I have been orienting on days right now because I have had all those classes during the day and they didn't want me to have to switch back and forth so many times in my sleep schedule, which I super duper appreciate. So at this point, I only have 2 more day orientation shifts, and then I switch over to nights. And that in itself is going to be crazy, and I will definitely have to document that for you guys, how I do with that, because I've never worked at nights before, so we will see how that goes. Yeah, so first I kind of just want to talk about the classes that I've had to take. I know in some of my vlogs I've mentioned them and that I had to go to them, but I just want to kind of go through all of those that I've had to take. So the first one that I took was a family support class, and in that class we talked a lot about, so my hospital was very lovely and they give us handouts of all the PowerPoints. So I have this just sitting in my bedroom with all the stuff that I've had to learn. So first I had my family support class. In that class we learned a lot about breastfeeding, basics, supporting families, bereavement, if a family loses their baby, what we're supposed to do in those situations, and just general like how to be supportive of the family. And then there was that was a 2-part class. So the first part, that's what we learned, and then the second part was actually my last class that I just had, and in that we talked about social work a lot, when to contact them, what they do, what situations are an automatic referral to them. And then we talked about LGBTQ and implicit bias in labor and delivery, and the birthing center as a whole, because it's very important for us as nurses to realize that not everyone who comes in is going to be a mom or a male and a female and a baby. Like, it might be 2 women and a baby, it might be 2 males with a surrogate and a baby, it might be a transgender male or woman in there with the baby. So like, just being very careful with our wording and not always assuming right away that it's mom and dad and baby. So that was a very interesting class that we had just the day before I'm filming this, so I liked that class. Then another class that I had was a newborns foundation class, and that a lot of that class was also focused on breastfeeding, hypoglycemia in newborns, bilirubin, stuff like very focused on the newborn aspect of what we do on the unit. Then I had an antepartum complications class and a postpartum complications class, and both of those had simulations associated with it. And then I had an EFM class. So I've had a lot of classes, and it was really good because in my nursing degree I did not get a ton of L&D, women's health, birthing education. So lot of it was new information, but also refreshers at the same time. Yeah, so those are all the classes that I've taken. At this point, I'm pretty sure that I'm done with classes, which is super exciting because now I get to like fully dive in to all the units. I think for the past like 3 weeks, or no, the past like 6 weeks of orientation, I have had a class every day, and that has been kind of frustrating, but also I'd rather have them at the beginning than at the end, if that makes sense. So I have been on the units. I've had primarily 3 different preceptors on AMs, and then I'll have an additional preceptor on night shift, and my position is solely night shift. They just wanted me to be able to start my orientation and keep up with all those classes at the same time. So yeah, my first few days of orientation were kind of overwhelming. The first day I primarily just shadowed and kind of watched what the flow was of the day, and yeah, then the next few days I started being involved in the care, and then eventually I transferred to independently taking 1 couplet, and these last 3 shifts I have been taking 2 couplets on my own, which has been interesting. It's definitely a lot more work, and eventually I will throw in a 3rd. Oh gosh, that's I can do it. I can do it. It's okay. I love it. It's so fun hanging out with moms and babies. There are a few things that I have not been able to experience yet because you can't predict when they're going to happen. I have not had the opportunity to have a fetal demise. That's something within my orientation that they really want me to have, but I've had a lot of other various experiences. This past weekend I had a lot of kiddos who were late preterms, so born before 37 weeks, and they require glucose checks every so often, so I got a lot of experience with that. I have been really trying hard to get the whole admission process down. That's something that I will be doing a lot of on nights, and something that I definitely need to keep up working with. Discharges I've not been able to fully do it by myself, but at the same time there aren't a ton of discharges that happen on the night shift, so I definitely didn't feel the stress of being a new nurse for the first few weeks. I felt like I was welcomed in very nicely, and I wasn't overwhelmed or anything. And then last Thursday I took 2 couplets. I felt like the shift went very well. It was very smooth, and then I was like, all right, I got this. So then I worked the weekend, Saturday, Sunday. I took 2 patients again, and let's just say that shit hit the fan. We had 2 couplets starting out. I took 1, then my preceptor took the other. We were expecting an admission, so I was going to take the admission, so I had the admission and another couplet, and then the 3rd couplet that my preceptor had was going to discharge, so she was going to kind of focus on that, and then I would help out when I could. And I just felt very overwhelmed trying to help out with all 3, and it was my first time doing my own admission by myself, and I felt like I missed everything, and it was super stressful. But the families were super awesome, and they were super understanding that it was my first time doing it, so that was amazing. And then Sunday, kind of similar situation. I was able to keep one of my families from the family that I had admitted on Saturday. I was able to keep until Sunday, which was awesome. And then we had another couplet who was going to be discharging, and then we were expecting an admission. So I had kind of same thing going on Saturday. I was like, okay, I got this. It's going by easily. I felt like I had it under control a lot more. Then around 4 o'clock, we find out that we are gonna be getting another admission at 6, and my shift ended at 7. So, yeah. So we got the admission at 6. Luckily I had my preceptor with me, so she was able to tag team with me. We were able to get everything done. I did get out a half an hour late from work, but it just was very overwhelming and very stressful. The first time though that I felt fully overwhelmed with everything that I was doing, but it's okay because I still have a month left of orientation, and I will get it down and I will be okay. And everyone that I've worked with so far has been so supportive and super nice, and always asking me how I'm doing, if I'm feeling overwhelmed and stuff like that. So that has been truly amazing to have such supportive coworkers. So yeah, before this weekend I was like, I really haven't felt super stressed out at work yet, and of course then the world is like, okay, here, have some stress. Yeah, so at this point I have, this next week I actually get to watch a C-section and recovery for a day, and then the next day I'm in labor and delivery again, so I get to watch a vaginal birth and recovery. If they're ever super busy, postpartum people float down to L&D and do recoveries. We don't actually do the birth part, we do the recovery, which is less stressful, I think. So I get to do that this week, and then I switch over to nights. I have 2 weeks on night orientation on postpartum, and then I have 2 weeks of antepartum orientation, and then I'm on my own, and that's a little bit scary. We kind of gotta just do it, you know? So yeah, that is my kind of rambly update on how orientation is going so far. Overall, I'd say it's going very well, and I'm feeling much more confident in myself than I did at the beginning. Obviously, I've learned so much too. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys next week. Bye!